And we are on. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and race fans everywhere. Welcome to this socially distanced edition of Burnin Rubber for August 7th, 2020. I'm Sterling Siemens. I'm joined, as usual, by my co-hosts, Hallie Stepp and Justin Palmer. Fellas, it's the month of August, and the school year is just around the corner, and pretty soon we'll all be back on the Mizzou campus. How's everybody doing this week?
I'm excited to get back. I mean, for doing the show in the studio, the whole school part, I'm not sure about.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm not looking too forward to the chaos that's going to unfold on once we get down on the campus. But I'll definitely appreciate the time we'll have in studio. I'm doing this as professionally once again, and not a lot of racing to talk about, but a lot of off-season shenanigans going around.
That's very true. There wasn't a lot of racing happening, just three events, including one that happened just about half an hour ago when it concluded with the NASCAR Gander RV and Outdoors Truck Series in Michigan. However, there's a lot of silly season news items that just dropped. So we'll go ahead and dig right into it. We'll start with the NASCAR Cup Series race at Loudon. It was a fairly good race considering how Loudon has typically been in the past at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Brad Keselowski dominated the race and ended up winning the Foxwoods 301 at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. It's his third win of 2020, and overall it was a really good, just really outstanding performance by the two team. Denny Hamlin got second. I believe it was Kevin Harvick in third. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but Brad Keselowski, he's having a solid season. I feel like sometimes we don't give him enough credit for that, but he's having a pretty good, very, very nice, solid season for Team Penske in that two car. Other races that happened earlier that Sunday, Formula One did their British Grand Prix at the Silverstone circuit. The way to best describe it can be summarized in a tweet by our good friend Josh Neighbors, who happened to watch the race that morning. Terrible first 49 laps, phenomenal final 3 laps. And for those of you who didn't watch it, the race was kind of like the typical F1 Grand Prix, some passing here and there, but not much. And eventually the race just kind of went its natural pace. And then you get to the last 3 laps and Pirelli tire failures are aplenty. In fact, this was incredible. Lewis Hamilton won the Grand Prix. No surprise there. But he won it on 3 tires because going through the Maggots, Beckett's, and Chapel S's sequence on the track, his left front tire blew out. So he was basically driving on 3 wheels, but he had such a massive lead ahead of Max Verstappen that he was still able to beat him to the line. So kudos to Hamilton on that. Max Verstappen got second. It was Charles Leclerc for Ferrari who ended up getting third, rounding out the podium for the F1 contingent, for the F1 Grand Prix there at the Silverstone circuit. And as for Nico Hülkenberg, who was running in place of Sergio Perez, who was sitting out due to COVID-19, Hülkenberg didn't even start the race. His car just had mechanical issues, so for Hülkenberg. And as for the race that concluded just about half an hour ago, we had a first-time winner in the NASCAR Gander RV and Outdoors Truck Series in what was just a wild, wacky race, a wreck fest, if you will. The Henry Ford Health System 200, Zane Smith led just the final lap at Michigan International Speedway. He passed Christian Eckes on the last lap after a wild restart in overtime, which saw initial race leader Grant Enfinger spin out, basically spinning himself out on the restart, but no caution flew. And then another truck spun and no caution flew. There's a lot to digest out of everything that I've just talked about. But I'm going to go ahead and start with Justin Palmer. What were the biggest or best things or the most outstanding things that you saw out of the races that happened this past weekend and even today?
Well, first off, I'm going to say that the fist pump wasn't anything you said. It was because the Hawks are now up 3-2. Oh, yeah, that's going on right now. Oh, and I'm a little bit distracted. But besides that, there are a couple of things I took away from this weekend. One, we knew Brad Keselowski was going to get win number 3 in the regular season. That just seems like an annual tradition at this point, and of him getting 3 wins before the regular season, winning a race in the first round, and choking in the second. It just seems like a mathematical formula to me, and it appeared to be the same. And the F1 race, it was kind of chaotic in the first 20 laps, except for the fact that they spent like 10 laps on the caution, and because the track crew officials weren't being the quickest of getting all the debris off from another incident. And earlier on, it wasn't in the Magnussen incident. It was someone from AlphaTauri, just losing control. Oh, nothing they could really do there with all the wins at Silverstone. But we all thought this was probably going to be a Mercedes 1-2, and it was not a Mercedes 1-2. Oh, Bottas has had tire issues those couple laps before, and really that was Hamilton's race to lose, and the tires almost gave out on him during that race. And we also have to keep in mind Max Verstappen pitted with 2 laps to go. Oh, and he was within, I want to say, 18 seconds of Hamilton and during that portion, and he was about 31 seconds to go away on that final lap. Had Verstappen not pitted, Verstappen would have walked away with 25 points instead of the 19 he earned from second in the fastest lap of the race. So Verstappen, hindsight's 2020, I'm afraid, but it was a good result for them to break up the Mercedes 1-2, even though Bottas had his own tire issues. And then my only points from the truck race, because I really didn't watch it until the final 10 laps, was it was chaotic, it was crazy, and how the heck were there no cautions on those final 2 laps? I know I harp on this time and time again, but you should not be having starts past 4 o'clock at any track that doesn't have lights. It just reminded me of 2017 Brickyard 400 with having the overtime line and dictate the race. There's no cautions. It didn't make sense to me. It really didn't make sense to me why there wasn't a caution, but Zane Smith, you gotta give him credit. He outdueled Christian Eckes on the final lap. I really thought that was Eckes' race to lose once there were no cautions called. But you gotta hand him credit. He earned that one fair and square. I'm a little bit ticked off about NASCAR officiating and being so heavily inconsistent in the past couple of weeks.
Kind of sounds like one of my friends who, in a little group chat that we have, he was saying, man, NASCAR's just so inconsistent, it seems. I mean, and I'll admit they are a little inconsistent at times, but I agree with the track, with Michigan not having lights and the way the race had gone, which seemed to be a wreck fest. I mean, Johnny Sauter wrecked going for the lead on Grant Enfinger with about 17 to go. So it was a wild race, and then they had a big wreck on the front stretch too on top of that. So NASCAR got to a point where I think they just said, did they hit the wall? No, keep going. We're going to finish this race tonight. Hal Easton, your biggest takeaways from the racing that we saw?
I will say that, first of all, with the F1 race, how is Ferrari going to keep lucking their way into podiums with Charles Leclerc because somebody else made a mistake? Charles Leclerc shouldn't have finished third, but you know what? Good for him. Good for Ferrari. You didn't really earn it. Bottas's tires gave you a podium. I will say that it was pretty dramatic in the last 3 laps because it was different for one thing. Thankfully, it wasn't the same thing again of a Mercedes 1-2. In fact, Bottas didn't even get a point. He wasn't in the top 10. Couldn't pass Sebastian Vettel to get 10th place. Max Verstappen, he did everything he could to get that car to lead. He did everything he could. But that pit stop really cost them, and I can't blame them because without that tire going out, they weren't in position to win. You can't predict that a tire is going to go out of the first place car, which is insanely ahead of you. So I can't blame them, but man, does that not look good. It looks like something you'd see a Ferrari pull. I'm going to keep harping on them because they deserve it. The NASCAR race at New Hampshire was actually pretty good. I had low expectations. I always do when they go to New Hampshire. And you know what? It was pretty good. I'll give them that. It wasn't like it wasn't your typical New Hampshire race. Keselowski winning, none of us predicted that. None of us predicted Kyle Busch crashing early to finish last. What is happening to him? I will make the quick correction that it was Truex Jr. that finished third. It was the usual suspects in the top 5, but it wasn't a disappointment or anything. It was what you get from a competitive race. I will give credit and say that the rest of the top 10 was not your usual suspects outside of Chase Elliott and Eric Almirola. I'll let Sterling talk about them because it was a very impressive performance from one certain driver who finished 6th. And the truck race. What happened on that last lap? What happened in the last 2 laps? Grant Enfinger, I don't know what happened. I think his spotter must have failed him and not told him that he wasn't clear because he just dive bombs the bottom 2 cars while going 3 wide. Somehow they don't wreck, but he does, which feels like karma because what are you doing? He didn't hit the wall. I'm also very confused why there wasn't a caution. It's too arbitrary when they throw cautions out for weird things like hidden debris that you don't really see. A guy could spin earlier in the race the same way and they'll call a caution there, but there they didn't. It is annoying how inconsistent NASCAR can be, but it's nothing new, unfortunately. It's something that I don't think will go away. But congratulations to Zane Smith. It's not the way you see your first win going, but hey, it's your first win. Enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, a win is a win, and you'll get it however, especially if it's the first win, you'll get it in whatever manner it takes. Maybe not dumping a guy, but other than that, however you can. Ask Justin Haley. He's a great expert on getting a first win. Even Chris Buescher, too. Or David Rudiman, if you want to go that far back.
Joey Logano.
And Logano, too. But also, you're going to ask guys like Cole Custer getting his first Cup win this year basically unexpected. He got it by racing the full race, but it was unexpected still. Zane Smith, though, for Smith, I feel like this is something that we've kind of been sensing was going to happen at some point because Smith led the most laps at Kansas just a few weeks ago, or a couple weeks ago, I should say. And he's just been really, really fast driving for GMS Racing this year. There hasn't been a whole lot of sponsorship on his truck, but it seems like he's really picked it up ever since he got into the trucks. And it was just at the beginning of this year. Daytona was his first Truck Series start. And, great afternoon, great drive for the former junior motorsports development driver, getting a shot with GMS Racing to run this season in the trucks, his first career win. I mean, can't say much else about it. It's a great feeling, and our congrats to Zane Smith on a job well done and getting that first win. And Christian Eckes, so close. It's the third time he's finished second. So close.
It's got to happen eventually for him, but again, and you win them. It's still a win, and in the book, pending inspection, because of course we're recording this an hour after the race, and we still don't know the results of that. But pending inspection, congratulations to Zane Smith. You've definitely earned it today. Earn them no matter how it is. It's still 5 points for you in the playoffs. Come time. So
yeah. So congrats to Zane Smith on the win, and congrats to our other 2 winners from the last weekend, Brad Keselowski and Lewis Hamilton. So Spotlight, there's really not much to talk about. I already mentioned Lewis Hamilton for winning on 3 tires, and Zane Smith for his first career truck win. Matt DiBenedetto got a top 10 finish. Now, even though DiBenedetto's equipment, Wood Brothers Racing, might warrant a top 10 finish every now and then, this is his first top 10 in a while, because riding into this weekend, he had been on a terrible, terrible streak of bad luck, just getting wrecked or having some sort of issue in various ways, shapes, and forms. culminating in a wreck at Kansas where he was running pretty well, like up in the top 10, top 15 at least. And he seemed really down on his luck in his interview after the accident, but gets a top 10 run here, a 6th place finish. That's exactly the kind of run DiBenedetto needed, especially considering he was getting close to that playoff cut line for the Cup Series as the playoffs are getting closer as the season goes on. Other person I want to highlight, Daniel Ricciardo got a 4th place finish for Renault. Renault is the kind of team that you really expect a good run from them every now and then, but not so much a 4th place run. For Daniel Ricciardo, to get a 4th place finish for Renault in Britain, albeit there might have been some luck included because of tire failures and Pirelli just really not having a great weekend in general. But for Ricciardo to get a 4th place run for Renault, it's something you like to see. Something good for that team. Overall, really nice, solid weekend for Daniel Ricciardo, the guy they call Mr. Smiley. So now that we've gone over our spotlight, we've got a lot to talk about in silly season stuff. So let's just break it down and go. Let's just dive headfirst into it because it's a big, deep pool to dive in. So we'll start with the first domino to fall, which was that, I think the first one to fall was that Brad Keselowski re-signed a contract extension with Team Penske. It's a 1-year deal for 2021. He'll stay in that 2 car for at least another year. Not surprising considering how well Keselowski's done for Team Penske at his time there. In fact, this is the it's the 4th season in a row where he's won at least 3 races. And given there's still some more time to go. So Brad Keselowski, he could win more. Who knows? In fact, 2016, he won 4 races now that I think about it. So that's he gets a lot of victories out of that car, to say the least. Not surprising for Brad to get a contract extension. I think we can all agree on that. However,
I think
go ahead.
I think I'll make a point on this. I think it wasn't surprising that he got an extension. I'm just surprised that it's only 1 year. That just seems off to me. For a franchise driver to be only getting a 1-year deal. That just seems weird to me. I'll admit that, especially with Austin Cindric and his ties to Penske organization.
Yep. Also, one of the things to get a little bit more, I don't know what the best word is, but let's just go with interesting for this. Just kind of like, something to keep an eye on here. Bubba Wallace has been analyzing his options for 2021. One of those options being remaining with Richard Petty Motorsports, the team that he currently drives for right now. Petty, at least the team, Richard Petty Motorsports, seems to really want to keep Bubba Wallace there because it was put out earlier this week that Bubba Wallace has been offered a 10 to 20% ownership stake at Richard Petty Motorsports. Yeah, they really want him there. And if they pay him a lot of money, if there's a lot of money that goes into it with Bubba having a stake in the team, it could really mean something. However, another option that has been put out, something else that was noticed because after the New Hampshire race, over at Chip Ganassi Racing, Chad Johnston is no longer the crew chief for Matt Kenseth at the 42 car. Now it is, I'm trying to remember the name, but whoever it is. But a lot of people thought, this might be paving the way for someone else to take over there in the future. And keep in mind, Matt Kenseth, he's on there for like a 1-year deal. And I think we talked about this last week. The deal is still there. There's a possibility that Bubba Wallace could go to the 42 for Chip Ganassi Racing. So the offer is still there on the table. We'll just have to give it some more time, some more room to breathe, and see if anything sprouts from that rumor. However, the next domino to fall, the biggest one that basically set everything off. It's a sad story. Leavine Family Racing is shutting down after this season. Cue the sad violin music. Leavine Family Racing, the little team that could, the team that is aligned right now with Joe Gibbs Racing, they have announced that they are shutting down after the conclusion of the 2020 season, and that they have sold their charter to Spire Motorsports. At least I believe there's their charter, at least, to Spire Motorsports. Their car will go, I think, to Gibbs, if I'm correct on that. Justin, Hal, you can correct me on that if I'm wrong.
Everything's returning to Gibbs but the chassis.
Yeah. All right. So Spire Motorsports will get some bit of Leavine Family Racing after their sale at the end of the season. Now, Bob Leavine, the team owner, cited that there were multiple factors that went into this decision, and it wasn't a decision they wanted to make. However, with the pandemic going on, it really took a toll on Bob Levine's construction company based in Texas. Now, that construction company has been a pretty big supporter. It's been their main sponsor for the operation that they run in NASCAR. And with the construction company taking such a big hit by the COVID-19 pandemic, the funds just really weren't there to keep up racing. And Leavine was forced to choose between racing and his family-owned construction operation. And there was one option that was definitely more feasible than the other. So Bob Levine's NASCAR team will be gone after 2020. That leaves Christopher Bell looking for a ride. Although, let's be honest, I think we kind of know someplace that he's going. And actually, we can get a taste of it now because yesterday it was confirmed, or a couple days ago, this week it was confirmed that Joe Gibbs Racing and Eric Jones, the current driver of the number 20 Toyota Camry in the NASCAR Cup Series, will not be together for 2021. So Eric Jones is gone. That basically leaves the way wide open for Christopher Bell to take over that 20 car. And it hasn't been confirmed yet, but let's be honest, Christopher Bell's probably going to take over that car. It's the worst kept secret since Martin Truex was leaving Furniture Row to go to Gibbs, and it wasn't confirmed till November. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. So the question remains now, where does Eric Jones go? Let's see. We'll get to that in a little bit. Some other Formula One news to discuss. Valtteri Bottas has officially signed with Mercedes for 2021. I'm not sure about that, but
poor George Russell has to wait another year.
Yeah, George Russell was not happy about this because he's going to be stuck at Williams again for another year, it sounds like. And as for, there was one more, Nico Hülkenberg, who unfortunately didn't even do a lap this weekend at the Silverstone circuit driving for Racing Point. Hülkenberg has been in talks to go to Haas F1. So there's a possibility if Haas is still around next season, Nico Hülkenberg might be in one of their cars. But let's go ahead and dissect the Eric Jones news, because this is the big one. This is the news topic that got everyone talking. And now there's a lot of sources, or not a lot of sources, but there's a lot of discussion out there wondering, where is Eric Jones going to go? Because that number 48 car at Hendrick Motorsports is still wide open. It's anyone's game at this point. I'll start with Hal. You step on this discussion. Hal, where in your mind does Eric Jones end up for 2021?
I think he's going to end up with Hendrick Motorsports in whatever number the 48 could be next year. You never know. Could go back to the 5, could be the 25. They might want to make a change. I don't know. But he's going to end up in that car. I want to say that, first of all, I feel like this is going to end up being something you look back and go, why did you do it? Because we have to keep in mind, Eric Jones is so young. He is only 24 years old. He has 57 top 10s. That's pretty good for a guy his age. And the only comparison I can make is to a certain driver who used to be in the 20 car and also got let go at a young age, Joey Logano. He ended up going to another big team, and he's had tremendous success there. I don't think Eric Jones is Joey Logano, but it's giving up on drivers so early that is a very questionable thing. Because here's the thing with Joe Gibbs Racing. Since Tony Stewart, who can you say was homegrown by Joe Gibbs and ended up being a tremendous talent for Joe Gibbs?
Denny Hamlin.
Denny Hamlin came in about same time. Since Denny Hamlin has come in, you've had Joey Logano come in. Was disappointing at Joe Gibbs, became a champion. And your best successes have been guys coming in. Kyle Busch from Hendrick. You've had Matt Kenseth come over. He was pretty successful in the 20. It wasn't championship winning, but it was still successful. Eric Jones is another guy who you could say is homegrown because he was at a Joe Gibbs affiliate before coming over. And hasn't had what they wanted, but I'd say he has been successful for his age. I have a feeling we're going to look in a few years and say that's one that got away. And I'm concerned for Christopher Bell because it shows that there's a short leash at Joe Gibbs. If there's another huge prospect that comes along, he's either going to take Martin Truex's car, because that's the big rumor, is that this was not something they wanted to do. They had to do because Leavine is shutting down. I have a feeling that Martin Truex Jr. is probably going to be the next one out if he can't find the success he had with Cole Pern. But if not, if Christopher Bell underperforms and Martin Truex goes back to what he usually is, Christopher Bell might be on the same loop. And I don't feel good thinking these guys are going to keep coming in, young age. They're ready for the cup, but they're not ready to contend for a championship. And that's not going to be enough for Joe Gibbs. It's a concerning trend that keeps happening. So for Eric Jones, this is an opportunity. You can go get your everyone needs a chip on their shoulder in any sport. Eric Jones is a massive one now, but it's the same one that Matt Kenseth probably had after Eric Jones took his spot. It's the same story repeating with the 20 car. We're going to see if Christopher Bell can return it to some stability, but I don't know.
Justin, over to you.
I first want to say, I am it's sad to definitely see Leavine Family go, because we're losing probably one of the best owners out there, and one of the best inside looks into the NASCAR industry we will have. Bob Leavine wore everything on his sleeve. If he was he was the ultimate NASCAR underdog. He was the Moneyball of NASCAR. I think that's kind of fair to say. It was a small team that wanted to achieve big and thought and tried to play with the big boys and tried to prove that a underdog can compete with the top dogs of this league, a team that can and find success in the sport of NASCAR. That's something that Bob Leavine envisioned coming into the sport. Unfortunately, he proves that the exact opposite, I am afraid. I'm afraid that at the days of the small car teams, rising up and finding success in this league are officially over in NASCAR. I think that idea has gone away with the loss of Leavine Family Racing. And as for Bell, you absolutely hit the nail on the head. And Joe Gibbs has had this cycle of bringing guys in and just rotating them out like it's nothing. NASCAR had the question this week, the what if question on, and what if Carl Edwards did not retire? You're still seeing the impact of Carl Edwards' retirement today. This is because Eric Jones was the response to Daniel Suarez, and it just seems like we're in this cycle of just teams drivers coming in, drivers coming out at Joe Gibbs, except for the main core of Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, and whoever's the age-old vet coming in. That's been Joe Gibbs. and I think we're gonna get a little bit of a break from that because obviously I've been very critical of Riley Herbst, and I've been very critical of Riley Herbst and Brandon Jones. I've been very outspoken against them. Nobody's coming up that at Toyota pipeline at the moment. I don't see the next Eric Jones. I don't see the next Christopher Bell in that pipeline. And I mean, Christian Atkins has been good, yes, but I think Christian Atkins is the next guy to go up, but he's not ready. The only star I see is Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs is the only guy I see in that Toyota camp at the moment that really sticks out to me, and that's in ARCA, which we have said time and time again, you can't really judge a guy in ARCA. You can't judge a guy's success by ARCA. So it definitely sucks that we're losing on our team. It sucks even more to where the rumored charter is going. It's going to Spire Motorsports, aka the second arm of the Rick Ware Racing empire. Rick Ware Racing now has 8 cars, 6 of them are charters. How the heck does Rick Ware Racing have 6 charters when Gaunt Brothers doesn't have 1? That's what I want to know. And I think that says a lot about the NASCAR charter system that was implemented by Rob Kaufman. I think that says a lot about where the NASCAR industry is today. I think that says a lot about where Toyota is heading as a whole. If you really think about it, if Toyota really wanted, they would have gotten that charter for Gaunt. And they absolutely would have gotten that charter for Gaunt. Now I'm questioning the future of Gaunt Brothers. I'm seriously questioning the future of Gaunt. I'm questioning the future of Go Fast. That's racing as well, but that's for a different story. Right now, the NASCAR charter system is continuing to allow these smaller teams like Rick Ware Racing and to profit. And those teams just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you're not seeing any of the teams that probably deserve the success, like JTG, like Chip Ganassi, like Penske. They're not expanding at the moment. They're not expanding, and really, I think that's a problem. If Spire and Rick Ware are making money, and the guys at the front are not making money at this point, I think it's frustrating to talk about the charter system, and that's a topic for another day. But Spire should not have 6 charters right now. At this point, I'm thinking the great Rick Ware master plan, and the master plan to achieve victory in the NASCAR Cup Series is just praying at some point, you're gonna buy up enough cars as to where the good drivers wreck out all at once, and you're going to have all that's left is going to be you. Congratulations. You've had to buy 8 cars to buy yourself a top 20. You've had to buy so many cars just to get yourself one top 25. I don't get the Rick Ware. Obviously, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, Rick Ware. But I have to ask this question too. What happens if Rick Ware goes at this point? What happens if Rick Ware, if they're continuing to expand and they're expanding rapidly? Keep in mind this. What happens if Rick Ware goes out? For some reason, what happens if Rick Ware goes out? That's 6 to 8 cars gone, most likely. Unless Spire is able to lack on to the Chip Ganassi organization. I think that's a serious question that needs to be asked that's down the road, but overall, I'm just sad to see the Leavine Family Racing going. I'm sad to see Eric Jones out of the Toyota camp. This is just an overall situation that sucks, and unfortunately, I think we all knew someone was going to bite the bullet when the COVID-19 pandemic started and the season had to shut down at the beginning.
There's a lot to take in, a lot to break down, a lot to digest from this whole situation. Leavine Family Racing right now, it's like Furniture Row Racing without all the wins or without the championship. they've had some good runs, really good runs, once they got affiliated with Joe Gibbs Racing. And it's kind of almost suspicious in a sense, because Furniture Row Racing aligned themselves with Joe Gibbs Racing at the start of 2016. They found rapid success, won a championship in 2017, and then 2018, they were gone. Then Leavine Family Racing aligns themselves with Joe Gibbs in 2019. They'll be gone after 2020. Now, given the circumstances are different, there was a lot of other extenuating circumstances that caused this situation, but it's still somewhat fishy. And also, Toyota really is running itself thin. And Hal brought up a really good point. In fact, it was echoed by Justin, too. The fact that Joe Gibbs Racing seems to just circle through young guys. Because I did some Googling real quick on some of the ages of these guys. The three core drivers at Joe Gibbs Racing are Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex, and Kyle Busch. Martin Truex Jr. is the oldest one there. He's 40 years old. Denny Hamlin is 39. He will be 40 in November. Kyle Busch is 35. Those are the three core guys, and they're very seasoned veterans of this sport. All three of them, well, okay, two of them are champions, and one of them probably should have had a championship by now. But they're very close. They're right there for a championship. Eric Jones is 24. He is 11 years younger than the second youngest driver at Joe Gibbs Racing. Oh, and one more thing. Christopher Bell is older than Eric Jones. Christopher Bell, he's 25. He'll be 26 in December. Eric Jones, he turned 24 just in May. So, yeah, obviously, young, raw talent may not do well right off the bat. Joe Gibbs has been searching for the next Jeff Gordon when I feel like at times we just need to accept Jeff Gordon and drivers like him. They can just be like once-in-a-generation talents. Jeff Gordon was great right out of the gate. Like in his second year, he won his first race. He didn't win in his rookie year, but he won in his second season, won a championship in his third year. Dale Earnhardt, he was 29 when he won his first Cup championship in 1980 in his second Cup season. You know, these are generational talents that we're talking about. Now, I'm not saying Eric Jones is anything like Jeff Gordon. In fact, I don't think anyone can be really like Jeff Gordon nowadays, but Eric Jones, he's 24 years old. He's still got a lot of developing to do. And it sucks because this is a very Joey Logano-esque situation. Logano started driving for Joe Gibbs when he was 18 years old on a full-time basis. 18. And they gave up on him. They gave up on Logano when he was 22. Then he went to Penske, and we saw what greatness happened. They just need more time to develop. And the problem that's unfolding right now is because Martin Truex, Kyle Busch, not this season, but historically, and Denny Hamlin especially, these guys are winning right out of the gate. They're setting the bar real high. Joe Gibbs Racing won 19 out of the 36 races in the Cup Series schedule last year. Eric Jones provided one of those victories, just one, which is so unfortunate because he was outnumbered and completely overshadowed by his three older veteran teammates. Now, I will say Eric Jones did develop in the Toyota system, driving for Kyle Busch. He won a championship for Kyle Busch in the Truck Series in 2015. Then he was given an Xfinity schedule, and Joe Gibbs seemed to be really high on him then. But once Matt Kenseth got pushed out, once Carl Edwards suddenly left, which I think Carl Edwards leaving was the catalyst for all of this, because had Carl not left, he was going to be in that 19 car for 2017, and they were going to give Daniel Suarez another season because Eric Jones going to Cup, it seemed to have already been everything but confirmed when he went to that second Furniture Row car. Suarez was going to run another season, and then Carl Edwards leaving basically made Joe Gibbs panic, and then they sent Suarez up way too early for a team that he wasn't even prepared to drive for on a regular basis. So Suarez's career has been really affected by this too, and he's also driving for Gaunt Brothers. So Gaunt could be in trouble, honestly. But in all seriousness, comparing it to talking about Leavine Family Racing, it really, really sucks to see Leavine go, because Bob Leavine has been probably the most transparent team owner out there. I would love to drink a beer and have a conversation with Bob Leavine, because he's so open about talking about the inner workings of NASCAR, what it's like to operate a business, like a family-owned business and a family-owned race team at the same time. He's so very transparent about everything that's happened, the operations, the inner workings of a NASCAR team in this day and age. And it's going to suck not seeing that anymore. And these smaller teams, Furniture Row, Leavine Family Racing, they're going away. And it's something that you hate to see. I feel like Gaunt Brothers could be next. Go Fast Racing could be in trouble. Rick Ware Racing, they're building up an empire. I don't know how in the world they're doing it, considering their cars run 25th to 30th every week, but they're doing it. They're going to expand into IndyCar racing, aligning themselves with other teams. There was even talks that they're going to go to run Le Mans in September for the 24 hours there. I don't know what Rick Ware is doing for his operation, but whatever business he is doing, however he's conducting it, and how he's getting all of these cars out there in these various series, I seriously would like to know. I really, really do want to know. I'm kind of jealous.
It just seems like that team just keeps expanding rapidly. And it's just like, it's almost like I don't want to say it's like a scheme or something, but it just seems like that team is growing way too fast for its own good. And the quality, if they have that much money, put it into your race cars, for crud's sake. Hey, put it into your race cars. Stop showing up to the racetrack 38th and praying that Kyle Busch wrecks every single week.
Yeah,
they get you inside the top 35.
Stop being the Dodgers of NASCAR. Stop spending the GDP of a private island. You'll be fine. You'll be fine as long as you just invest in your players, invest in your drivers, invest in your cars, and then maybe, just maybe, you'll find some success. Not saying the Dodgers aren't successful. They've made the playoffs several times, but once it comes down to the playoff time and they got to perform, they don't. But back to the subject.
It's Rick Ware Racing. I wouldn't be surprised if they got 2 more charters at the end of this season. And to be honest, but just the whole Rick Ware empire just frustrates me to death. And it just stinks that it just stinks because you see more and more go out that. Because of the charter system, we've lost more good teams than we've had come in. The only teams that have come in truly in the past, 4 years since the charter's been introduced, Go Fast Racing, which has obviously chosen money over performance with Quinn Houff, Rick Ware Racing, and you've had, I forget the third, but you've lost Leavine and you've lost Furniture Row. Oh, I'll say that much, on top of all the teams that are down that have condensed, like Childress and Roush. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I want to try to drive this back to the subject in hand with Erik Jones, because we've got to talk about where he's going to go. Hal mentioned it, and I think Justin kind of implied it a little, maybe. I'm not so sure. But where Erik Jones will end up at this point, honestly, I think a team like Rick Hendrick has got to give him an opportunity in this situation. Because I don't know why, for some reason, but there were some rumors out there that ranged from that Christopher Bell could go to maybe Stuart Haas, and that would send Clint Boyer back in, and then one thing would lead to another, and then Jones would still be staying, and then there was a really outrageous rumor, I thought, where Denny Hamlin could possibly leave Gibbs to drive for Hendrick. I'm like, are you out of your mind? No, that's not going to happen. I think right now, the most logical thing, because Erik Jones, he's won at the Cup level. He's shown that he can do really well. The thing he's got to do, not got to do, but I feel like in my mind, it's the right time for Rick Hendrick to give a young driver like Erik Jones another opportunity to develop and get better in some good equipment. I think Eric Jones will probably be at Hendrick Motorsports in one way, shape, or form, whether in a driver's role. Obviously, I don't know what car he's going to drive because Rick Hendrick might shuffle some people around. There was even talk that Rick Hendrick could be downsizing. The 88 could shut down and Alex Bowman could go to the 48 or whatever numbered car that is. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But I feel like right now, Eric Jones is now the leading candidate to take over Jimmy Johnson's ride after this season.
I would say so because as you also have to keep in mind, and the first domino was Keselowski re-signing with Penske. Now that Brad Keselowski is out, Eric Jones is the best driver right now racing in NASCAR. I do want to clarify that point. Racing in NASCAR, or at NASCAR's top level, I should say, that is on the market. Eric Jones is without a doubt the best driver on the market in terms of what we have seen in terms of results. I would not be shocked if the 48 goes for him because, but I will say this. I don't think this is, it's been said that the deal's going to be done soon and likely within a week, possibly. I don't know how I feel about that because you still have, I still think a lot of dominoes are going to rely on who wins that Xfinity title this year. I think once that Xfinity, I think free agency is not going to be set in stone until November, or because I think both Haas and I believe Penske are looking, saying, okay, do we bring up our young talents now? So there's a lot to go in this free agency, but Eric Jones is definitely the front runner for the 48 now that Keselowski is re-signed with Penske.
Yep. All right. I think we've gone over the Eric Jones and the whole silly season from NASCAR quite a bit. Moving on to another topic at hand. More proof that 2020 just flat out sucks, and we can't wait to get to next year because the Indianapolis Motor Speedway announced earlier this week that there will be no fans allowed at the Indy 500. Sucks. It sucks. I'm not going to lie. At first, the capacity was reduced at 50%. Then it went down to 25%. And then earlier this week, it was announced no fans at all. And media access is going to be limited. NBC will still be covering the event, obviously. And they still plan to do the race. They still plan to run the 500-mile race, the greatest spectacle in racing, on August 23rd. So the decisions that led into this, Roger Penske, it sounds like his hand was kind of forced in this situation. There's a lot of different players, and we'll probably get into this next week because I'm not sure we'll have much time to really go into this. And we don't know all the facts about everything just yet. But I'm sure next week, when the situation's been given more time to develop, more time for people to understand what's been going on, then we'll have a clearer idea as to what happened and the decision behind the reasons behind the decision to have no fans attend the Indy 500. But we will follow up on that next week when the situation develops more. So we've gone over that. I feel like it's a proper time to do a quick break here. Or by break, I should say the Money Team Minute. Hal?
Okay, so there is no Money Team news.
Draft.
But I would like to take this time to point out that during practice today, Sebastian Vettel's engine is just done. His engine's done. So, engine failure for Ferrari. So just throwing that out there. Ferrari, once again, proving they aren't prepared for anything ever. Except failure, apparently.
Dang. Hal, you looked really bitter.
I'm sick of Ferrari just having such a massive budget and great drivers, and they can't do anything right.
Is Hal a secret Ferrari fan?
No, I'm not. I root for nobody except for chaos during an F1 race, and chaos being a not Mercedes 1-2. That's my only thing I root for. Ferrari's my best bet to get that wish. They can't do it.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Kyle Busch curse is real, apparently, and I mean, you kind of cursed Kyle. Let's be honest, you did.
I mean, I did, but I don't pick him anymore. I mean, it's kind of on everybody now.
Yeah, the Ferrari curse must be real now too. It's a developing story, everybody, but that's been the Money Team Minute. Apparently, no news. Might not be any news for a while. So let's move on to the next bit. There was the next update for the schedule has been announced from September all the way through to November, the season finale for November on the NASCAR side. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen right now so that we can all have a look at it. We'll even see our document there. Look at that. Beautiful, ain't it? So let's have a look. The schedule update starting with September 5th and 6th. All three National Touring Series will be competing here. That includes the Xfinity Series on September the 5th, then the Truck Series race, a new event on Sunday, September the 6th, and then that'll be followed by the Southern 500 for the NASCAR Cup Series on NBCSN. Okay, why is that on NBCSN? That's my biggest thing.
Like
why?
But
I guess Sunday Night Football.
NHL playoffs, maybe?
Who knows?
It has to be NHL playoffs because NFL doesn't start till a week afterwards. So
yeah. All right. Next bit. On to Richmond. The Truck Series race. They were supposed to race at Richmond anyway in 2020. However, that race is going to be scheduled now for September the 10th. Or wait, maybe it was supposed to be September 10th anyway. Anyway, the Truck Series is going to be at Richmond Thursday, September the 10th. That'll be a Thursday night event. And then 2 Xfinity races, a doubleheader at Richmond Raceway, Friday night and then Saturday afternoon for the Xfinity contingent. And then Saturday night, the Cup Series comes to town, 7:30 p.m. local time, start at Richmond. Then going to Bristol for the night race. All 4 NASCAR Series will be here. That includes ARCA. Truck Series will be running the trucks and ARCA will be running on Thursday night. ARCA has a 9:30 start time. Good Lord, that's going to be a long, late night. But then again, ARCA at Kansas had a 9 o'clock start time, and I was in the press box for that. So there's that. Friday, September the 18th, Friday night event for the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and then Cup Series follows it up with a Saturday night showdown on September the 19th. Next weekend at Las Vegas. The trucks are back again. Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sunday night race for the Cup Series. It's something worth noting. Then they go to Talladega. Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup. Trucks and Xfinity will be on the same day, October the 3rd. Cup Series on Sunday, October the 4th. Then for the Charlotte Roval, it'll be Xfinity and Cup again, Saturday, Sunday, kind of the way it was scheduled initially. Kansas, here's where things take an interesting turn. The trucks and the ARCA series will be running on Friday night and a 10 p.m. start time. That's probably going to be 9 p.m. Central. Okay, another 9 p.m. start time. That'll be fun for ARCA.
Woo.
Trucks and ARCA, another race. ARCA, this was ARCA's initial date, but this is a makeup date for the truck series that's being scheduled for this third Kansas race they're running in 2020. Xfinity Series will be on Saturday, October 17th, and then the 400-mile event for the Cup Series on Sunday, October 18th. Weekend after that, Texas. The Xfinity Series will run on Saturday, and then trucks on Sunday, followed by the Cup race. Martinsville, the penultimate race of the season. Friday, October 30th, will be the Truck Series racing at night. Xfinity Series will be racing on Halloween. It's the first Xfinity race at Martinsville since 2006, when that race had it had 19 cautions, I believe, and Kevin Harvick won because it won that race of attrition. Cup Series will be running Sunday, November 1st for Martinsville, and then championship weekend for NASCAR at Phoenix Raceway. The Truck Series will run Friday night on November the 6th. Then ARCA at 2 p.m. on Saturday. Xfinity race will be at 5 p.m. on Saturday, November 7th. And then the Cup Series championship finale, Sunday, November the 8th, 3 p.m. on NBC. So that's a look at the NASCAR schedule through the rest of the season. Not many changes from the initial schedule. However, the Truck Series is racing at Darlington. That's for the first time since 2011, if I'm correct on that. Trucks are back at Richmond as well. ARCA at Bristol, that's unique. Talladega, the Xfinity Series, they usually run Talladega in April. So this is new for them to be running in October at Talladega. Kansas, obviously, the trucks brand new there. Or not brand new, but it's a new time of year for them to run there. Texas, Martinsville, the Xfinity Series is back there, and then Phoenix to round out the season. So that's the schedule. That's the end of the season for NASCAR. Also, it should be noted, Mid-Ohio, the weekend that IndyCar was supposed to run there, has been postponed. A makeup date has not yet been set up. IndyCar was supposed to be at Mid-Ohio this weekend. However, they're not racing there, so I don't know if there's any other comments to talk about with the schedule changes. Anything at all?
We got nothing.
Only thing I'm a little disappointed in is that's going to be Track Pass. That gets for ARCA. Just seems like that should have been something on a higher network, but overall, excited to see the trucks back at Darlington and the Xfinity back at Martinsville. Those are going to be two very fun races, and it's going to be very compact, and it's going to be very, very, very fun to see all these series go at it and kind of a consistent playoff schedule. So it'll be a very, very fun and kind of finale as we head to the home stretch.
Absolutely. So let's do a quick rapid rundown of other stuff that's been happening. Spencer Davis, one of the drivers in the NASCAR Gander RV and Outdoors Truck Series, will be sitting out. He actually sat out the race today in Michigan after testing positive for COVID-19. His team quickly withdrew their truck from the event after the news came out. And Davis, we wish him a speedy recovery. And if he's experiencing any symptoms, that is, and if he's asymptomatic, just wait it out and hope for things to turn better soon, basically. The choose cone rule. This is interesting. The choose cone rule is now in effect starting this weekend at Michigan for NASCAR. It was given a trial run during the All-Star race for the Cup Series at Bristol Motor Speedway last month in July. Personally, I feel like this is actually going to be, I don't know. It seems a little odd to throw it in the middle of the season like this, but I feel like Bristol wasn't really the best trial run for it. But then again, Bristol, who knows? It was so aero-dependent, that race was, so it might not have been the best experiment. There might have been some other circumstances surrounding it that didn't make it work. But on a track like Michigan, who knows? It might actually prove to make the racing better.
We saw some of that earlier tonight. There was a lot of guys choosing the inside instead of the outside. So overall, I'm a little kind of disappointed that this is not that we're not going to have the year ran out with the normal double file restart or everybody kind of doing the same lane. I just think that just for the sake of consistency, that should have been in the case. But hey, I mean, I'm willing to give it a shot for the rest of the year, but we'll see what it does. You got my eyes and ears on that at NASCAR.
Yeah, NBC, do me a favor. Don't be like Fox. Point it out this first race coming up. Let me know what's going on when I'm watching the race, you know? Because a lot of people don't know what this is. So let them in on it.
Well, knowing NASCAR Twitter, they're probably going to complain that Fox didn't mention it enough, and then they're going to complain about Rick Allen and Steve Letarte mentioning it too much and beating them over the head with a club on this topic. Like, here's the choose cone. Here's the choose cone. This is what it does. This is what it does. And eventually the fans are going to be like, shut up and just let me watch the race. NASCAR Twitter, it's toxic. I've almost given up on
Don't
Twitter.
go.
Just don't go out there. Don't go out there. By the way, a quick caveat to point out with that choose cone rule, it will not be used at the road courses or super speedways of Daytona and Talladega. So there's that.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Racing Point, the F1 team that has Sergio Perez, typically at least, and Lance Stroll, has been penalized 15 points and fined $500,000 for copying Mercedes parts on their cars. Now, here's the strange bit. Racing Point can continue using said parts. Ferrari, McLaren, and Renault, they are going to appeal against the continued use, which, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, if you're using parts that you're getting penalized for, why are they allowed to get away with it? That's the one thing I want to know.
The FIA is just going to confuse us like NASCAR with cautions. I don't get it.
The FIA has been confusing me since the 2005 US GP.
Oof.
Yeah, big oof there. By the way, one other thing I wanted to mention, DGM Racing that has Alex Labay. Labay was fined and penalized a certain number of points, and his team, DGM Racing, they were fined for their testing violations. Labay was found testing an SCCA car that had NASCAR specifications on the Daytona road course. And given regulations, that's a no-no. I mean, we saw Ty Gibbs and his team get penalized for something very similar to this, either earlier this year or last year. So, yeah, that team is getting fined big time and penalized several points. It's not something that operation needs right now.
You really thought you could get away with testing a car in NASCAR's back door? Or, like, what were you thinking?
Well, it was SCCA.
Like, what are you thinking? Like, you're at Daytona. That's NASCAR's. I mean, that's NASCAR's second home. If you did that at the Roval, oh, you might get away. I mean, the Roval at Indianapolis, you might get away with it. But they're literal. Like, NASCAR's literally, the offices are like 15 minutes away. And from walking, it's that's just stupid.
I mean, it's just right across the street.
That's just stupid.
From someone who's been to Daytona before, I can attest the NASCAR, or at least ISC headquarters, are right across the street from Daytona. Like, I've seen it in person. I mean, it's hard to get away from that. Something else I want to talk about, the new qualifying format for the remaining Cup races. Now, this is something that's probably going to need a little bit of explanation, but we'll try to explain this as best we can. The formula to determine the starting lineups now goes, this is really strange, 35% is points position, plus the finishing position from the last race, times 50%, plus the fastest lap from the last race, 15%. For the playoffs, those cars get the top spots for that round. So I'm still confused.
It was my understanding that there would not be any math, but no more Eric Almirola polls, I guess. I don't know.
If it mixes things up, I'm all for it. Because I'm tired of seeing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I really like Eric Almirola, but I was getting a little sick of seeing him on the pole every week. I was getting very sick of seeing Jimmy Johnson start 20th every week. And let's be honest, how many times have you seen Christopher Bell start 36th in a Cup race almost every week? You get tired of it real quick. There's just some consistencies there that you're like, wait a second, this isn't right. And Christopher Bell, he's not starting 36th this week. He's starting, where is he starting again? Like 32nd? I mean, it's not much better. Still.
Let me check real quick.
Actually, I can check.
I mean, instead of Eric Almirola, you now get but instead of Eric Almirola, you now get Kevin Harvick, Bracken Selesky, and Denny Hamlin and filling out the polls for the rest of the season, pretty much, because nobody's beating them. I'm on the racetrack. So
we'll see. The formula will also be used for pit selection as well, so you have that little added carrot in there. James Davison and Rick Ware Racing, we mentioned it earlier. They're going to run the Indy 500. Man, this is something. Now, I should say this. Rick Ware Racing, this is actually a partnership with AJ Foyt Racing and Jonathan Bird's Racing. So this is basically another alignment of sorts to field James Davison in there. Now, Davison is an Indy 500 veteran. He's raced it at least 3-4 times now. So it's something that's not really new to him. But for Rick Ware Racing, they're getting their foot in the door of another series, everyone. Everybody, let's all put our hands in the air and raise them to the sky. Come on now, everybody do this. We are going to hail the Rick Ware Racing overlords. Hail.
Thank goodness there's an 105% rule.
Well, who knows? It's chaos. The world is chaos. Everything's chaos.
If there was any year for Rick Ware Racing to enter the Indy 500, it's got to be this year. And they're somehow going to finish 25th because we're going to have 8 cars wreck out of the Indy 500. And just because.
So, there's that little thing to keep.
They're going to park them.
Probably.
They don't really
500
cars. Trust me, I've watched the Indy 500 since 2007. They don't. They just don't. They only park it if there's a mechanical problem, like legit. But all right, so we've now reached gas and go. We've got 4 questions tonight, so we'll go ahead and start with Hal Eastup on this first one. Brad Keselowski, 3rd win this season at New Hampshire. He's just got a contract extension with Penske to stay there for next year. Is he a Final Four lock for the playoffs?
Oh, no, not at all. He can't be a lock. I can't say he's a lock. I mean, Brad Keselowski is a solid driver, but Justin has hit the nail on the head. Outside of his championship win, getting to the Final Four has been a problem for Brad Keselowski. I think he can do it, of course, but I wouldn't say the odds are in his favor or anything. I think it's gonna take a lot of luck for Brad.
I think the last time he made the playoffs was what? I mean, the Final Four was like, what, 2015? And every single year, it has been the same story, except for the difference of which round he goes out. Win 3 races in the regular season, maybe win the 4th or at the last race of the year, win a race in the first round of the playoffs, and then get knocked out by Talladega / the Charlotte Roval. Oh, now this year, you got both of them in there. So I don't see Brad Keselowski getting past that second round just because of history tends to repeat itself in weird ways.
Yeah, I'm not sure Keselowski's a championship 4 lock. I mean, he can probably get into the round of 8, but he's got to go on some big tear for me to think that he's going to be in the championship 4.
He's got to get past the second round for me.
Yeah. All right. Mercedes. Is this really a question? Justin, I mean, I'm going to start with you. You can just give a 1-word response on this. I'm not even going to put a timer on here. Mercedes, will they go 1-2 at Silverstone, yes or no?
They've had their mistakes last week. They're not going in 2 weeks in a row without 1-2, especially at Silverstone.
Al?
I'm going to say, just to be a contrarian, no, because there were issues, but I'm not sure Pirelli solved those issues, really. It's not Mercedes' choice here. If their tires blow up, they blow up.
Yeah. I mean, it's a thing to keep an eye on. Let's see. Next question to talk about. Okay, this is going to be an interesting one, much more interesting, and I'll actually pull out the timer again for this. Hal, what are the chances that Bubba Wallace goes to the 42?
I'm going to say good chance, but I think with that ownership stake being offered, he's going to stick with the 43. I actually think the 42 and Chip Ganassi Racing could end up being the biggest losers out of free agency this year because Eric Jones and Bubba Wallace are your 2 big names. You could lose out on both of them because of either the ownership stake or a better option.
Well, I wouldn't say, hey, they would be the losers, especially if Ross Chastain it's not a bad consolation prize, but I think there's I think it's a 50-50 chance. Obviously, they are the sponsors. They have put them to get Wallace, But I just think the loyalty factor is also weighing so much, and the ownership stake. So Petty's desperate to keep him, and they're going to do everything in their power to get Bubba Wallace on their side again and keep him there long term.
Got it in right before the cowbell. Last question to bring up. Johnny Sauter, we saw the former truck champion go for the lead on Grant Enfinger late in the race, and then he spun. He wrecked, going for the lead. Given it was going for the lead, so Johnny Sauter, I'll admit he hasn't had the best season with ThorSport yet. He got one win last season. He actually got ThorSport's lone victory last season in the Truck Series. And he's not off to the best season right now. Justin, what are the chances that Johnny Sauter, the 2016 truck champion, makes the playoffs?
It's very low at this point. It's very, very low. He's 59 points behind the cut line. And actually, no, sorry, 63 points behind the cut line. He's going to need a win. And knowing the next couple of races, they just don't seem like Johnny Sauter racetracks to go out there and get victories. So I'm going to say no. He's not going to make the playoffs this year. We're going to be without a Thor Motorsports driver in that 10-car field.
Yeah, I'm going to agree completely. I just think that it's been a disappointing year for Johnny Sauter. There is, of course, he has the talent. We know that. He's going to show it, but it's about finishing. And lately, for veterans that need wins to get in the playoffs, we haven't seen them being able to finish. It just hasn't been on their side. I don't think it's going to be different for Johnny Sauter. I think he misses the playoffs.
All right. Well, let's see. Johnny Sauter might not make the playoffs. His teammate Matt Crafton's going to be in there, though, with his win at Kansas, and Grant Enfinger's got 2 wins, so it's looking good for at least 2 ThorSport guys, and Ben Rhodes has actually been running pretty well. Johnny Sauter's actually been seems like he's been the odd one out at ThorSport right now. So there's still some races left to run before the playoffs get going on the truck side, so we'll just have to wait and see. That's Gas and Go for tonight. Let's go ahead and make our picks real quick. We'll start with the first of 2 Cup Series races this weekend at Michigan International Speedway, the Firekeepers Casino 400. And let's have a look at the starting lineup. Joey Logano is on the pole in the highest qualified Toyota. Or Ford, excuse me. My goodness. I'm thinking of Joey Logano at Joe Gibbs again. Logano for Penske Ford, starting on the pole. Not Eric Almirola. He's actually starting 4th. Then you get Denny Hamlin in 2nd, Kevin Harvick 3rd. Rest of the top 10, Almirola, Keselowski, Bowman, Kyle Busch, Elliott Boyer, and Kurt Busch rounding out the top 10. DiBenedetto 15th, Tyler Reddick in 14th. By the way, it was confirmed that Tyler Reddick is going to be back at Richard Childress Racing for 2021. So good news for Reddick and for RCR. Other people to keep in mind, Matt Kenseth starts 20th. James Davison is in the 51 for Rick Ware. He's 28th. Going further down, 39 cars to choose from. We'll start with Justin Palmer. Your pick for the first Michigan race, 400 miles. Who is it?
Well, it's the Irish Hills, so that means you got to be a little bit lucky to win this race. And really, I just think that Joey Logano will not let Brad Keselowski go away. I think Joey Logano gets his 3rd win of the season, and he's led in, I want to say, 16 races this year out of the 20. So he's long overdue for that 3rd victory. I think he gets at Michigan, a track that he's very, very good at.
All right, I'm going to make this very interesting for Sterling because he'll have to make a choice between 2 front runners, or he's going to pick someone else and shock me because I'm going to pick everyone in that goes to track's favorite, I guess, the fan favorite, the most toxic fan base on Twitter, Chase Elliott. I'm going to pick him. He has been pretty good. He has only finished outside the top 10 once at Michigan in his 8 races there. He's been pretty good there. I think he has the resume behind him to support this pick. Now, the real question is, Sterling, who are you going to pick?
Yeah, that's a good question. Chase Elliott is really good at Michigan. I feel like he's bound to get a win there at some point. I just don't think it's going to be on this first race at least. My pick, I'm feeling like it's got to happen at some point. And I don't think he's done it. Well, actually, I think he has done it at least once. I feel like he's won here at least once. I could be wrong.
Yes.
But I think Brad Keselowski is going to win it. Brad Keselowski, the Michigan native, to get a victory at his home track, it's something that he loves to do. He says he loves coming to Michigan, and he's riding on a pretty good streak right now with a second-place run at Kansas and a win at New Hampshire. Why not back that up with a home track win? So that's my pick for that.
I gotta say, I'm a little bit shocked you didn't go with Denny or Kevin Harvick.
Who knows? I could be wrong. That's why we make these picks, just to see how wrong we are if we are.
Well, I'm all usually very, so
Okay.
I'm pretty good.
Real quick, let's make a pick for the NASCAR Xfinity Series Road America race. They're at the legendary road course in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. I'm going to pull up the starting lineup. By the way, just as a spoiler alert, Michael Annett is on the pole for this race again. It's about the third Xfinity race he's been on the pole for lately. So here it is. Michael Annett on pole. Austin Cindric, the road course ace, in second. The highest Ford in the field. Then Harrison Burton, third in the Toyota. Rest of the top 10, Justin Haley, Riley Herbst, Kaz Grala, Chase Briscoe, Brandon Jones, Noah Gragson, and Daniel Hemrick. Excuse me. Other drivers to keep in mind. Jade Buford, that's probably a road course ringer. He's starting 19th. Mike Wallace is back in the NASCAR ranks. He will be in 20th. Alex LeBay, fresh off that penalty, is 21st. Going further down the list, Andy Lally is in the Our Motorsports Chevy this weekend. The seasoned road course racer in 23rd. It looks like they actually skipped a position because there's no 24th on here.
What?
Racing Reference, get your ducks in a row. AJ Allmendinger is going to start 33rd, or is it 32nd? Yeah. You've got, looks like, I don't know, as long as they didn't double print a number, which I don't see that they did, they're just
I don't think they did.
Spot. They're just missing the 24th spot. Jesse Awuji is going to make his Xfinity debut, by the way. He starts 34th, I guess, because there's no 24 spot there. Come on.
I think that's supposed to be R.C. Anderson there.
RC,
according to Google's grid.
That might be it. Yeah. RC.
He is missing from the list
in this race. So there's that to keep in mind. Okay. I'm going to assume 37 because R.C. Enerson's probably on this list in 24th. So, Justin, your pick for the Henry 180 at Road America.
Oh, sorry, you lagged there for a second. And thank you for choosing me first because I get to take this one off of Hal before he jinxes him. And Austin Cindric, thank you. Goodbye.
Oh,
wow. All right. So the curse for Austin Cindric is now on. If you see him wrecked during the race, it is because it was stolen from me. I'm going to go with, of course, you got to go with a road course veteran here. I'm going to go with it's going to take a lot of luck, a lot of good driving to get him to the front, but I'm going to go with A.J. Allmendinger.
Dang. Yeah, from 33rd on the grid. How about that? Allmendinger, I mean, he can get it done. Let's see. For my pick, I feel like, there's some really good options to choose from. If only Christopher Bell was in this race, then it'd make it easy. But, let's see. I'm trying to remember who won the road course races last year. Because I know, aside from Christopher Bell winning at Road America last year, Austin Cindric won at Watkins Glen, and he won at Mid-Ohio. And I'm trying to remember who won at it was Allmendinger. It was Allmendinger who won at the Charlotte Roval. Dang. So I'm kind of screwed here. You know what? Let me just pick the guy who won at Indianapolis on the road course there. I'm picking Chase Briscoe. Briscoe is my pick to win it. He's been in a rut lately, and it's about time that he breaks out of it and gets his 6th win of 2020. His goal that he's put in mind was 8 wins. He accomplished over half of that really early in the season. It's time for him to get out of this slump that he's in. All right, let's go to the 70th anniversary GP at the Silverstone Circuit. Yes, Formula One is back there again. Let me see, Justin, I'm starting with you. Is it Hamilton? Is Hamilton your pick to win?
It's hammer time.
Okay. Hal, I'm just going to ask this. Who is your pick to win, and why is it Lewis Hamilton?
It's Lewis Hamilton because he's Lewis Hamilton and it's Mercedes. I mean, I will make a prediction outside of him winning, which we all know is going to happen. Daniel Ricciardo is going to have another strong run. He seems very happy to be back at Silverstone. He had a great run last weekend, and he seems even more pumped up to go into this weekend.
Excellent. All right, and my pick is Lewis Hamilton. Yeah, it's not rocket science. So, yeah, that's my pick. That's my pick to win. Those are our picks to win the 70th anniversary Grand Prix. Now, I am trying to get the ARCA entry list up. It's hard to find. They are going to have a 200-mile race at Michigan. I can just pull it up here, find it. Oh, here we go. It's the VisCom 200 at Michigan, a 100-lap event. I'll go ahead and share the entry list. The entries are, well, there's 18, so not much to choose from, even one car with a driver to be announced. But Justin, out of these guys, is there anyone in mind that you think has the who wins it in your mind?
Well, no no Gibbs, which is kind of surprising here. I'm gonna go ahead and say a Thad Moffitt gets one here, or yeah, I'm gonna go with Thad Moffitt, and I just feel like that. I'm just picking blind, and I just have a feeling.
Okay, Hal, your pick.
So there's no Ty Gibbs and no Chandler Smith. This is going to be an interesting one. I'm going to go with Anthony Alfredo. I think he can get it done. It's a weird field that I feel like he could get through here.
All right. Let's see. The guys that I noticed that did really well when I went to Kansas, because I'm going to use that insight for this one. Michael Self was actually nowhere near the front all night, which surprised me. But let's see. You got Riley Herbst in this race. Yes, it is Riley Herbst, but I feel like he can actually do some good things. You've got Alfredo, obviously. Ryan Repko has actually been really impressive in his runs that he's got. It's a very limited schedule he's running for Venerini. So I think Repko is going to be up near the front, but I'm not sure he's going to win it. I'm actually going to go with the winner at Kansas. I'm picking Brett Holmes to go 2 in a row because Brett Holmes, I mean, you talk about an inspiration story. His team, it's a family-run operation with his own family's construction company, kind of similar to Leavine Family Racing when you really think about it. But, you know, Brett Holmes is running this operation with his family, and they've made the decision. They risked a lot last year to go full-time in ARCA, and it paid off with 3rd in the standings. They're 2nd in the championship right now, and they're nipping at the heels of Michael Self. At this rate, I think Brett Holmes can actually catch Michael Self and pass him for the championship. And I think he can do 2 in a row. I think Brett Holmes can do it. So that's my pick, Brett Holmes to win Michigan, win his 2nd career ARCA race. All right, so now that we've gotten that, let's make one last pick for the 2nd Cup Series race, the Consumers Energy 400. And just from the list to go off of, and I'll share the entry list because the starting lineup will have yet to be determined. However, we look at this, there's 39 cars on there. Justin, your pick for the 2nd Michigan race for Cup?
just feel like this guy has been due for so long, and it's finally going to get done here. I'm not going with Jimmy Johnson or Kyle Busch, as I know well enough not to do that. I'm going to go with Eric Almirola. I think it's a Ford sweep. I think the Fords are going to be very dominant at this racetrack, and I have a feeling, even though the poll has changed and how they determine it all has kind of gone out the window, also no poll for Eric Almirola, I still have that feeling where Eric Almirola is going to start up near the top, and you can't pass in Michigan and all that much, except for on the restarts. I think Eric Almirola walks away with a win and maybe a little bit of Mother Nature or to help along with it.
Okay. See, these second races always throw me for a loop. I don't know what to do whenever I get to the second race. I don't know what the order is. I don't know who's going to finish 20th in the first race. See, if I was going by my usual average finish thing, it'd be Matt Kenseth, but I'm also using my brain and know that Matt Kenseth and Ganassi with a new crew chief doesn't spell well for his faring at Michigan. I'm gonna go with the least fun pick and the most predictable one of Kevin Harvick.
All right.
It's Kevin Harvick at Michigan. He's won there before. He's won there multiple times. He's good. He's really good.
Yeah, Harvick is really good. I think I'm going to surprise people by saying I'm not actually going to pick Denny Hamlin for this. So, yeah, I guess out of all of our picks, Hamlin is not among them, is not among any 6 that we're making this weekend. Because my pick, I feel like if he doesn't win the first race, he's going to win the second. Joey Logano. The man knows Michigan. He knows how to get around there. He's won there numerous times. Logano, that's who I'm taking. He's really, really good at Michigan. So I feel like it could be a Penske sweep with Keselowski and Logano. So, yeah, those are our picks for this weekend. And that basically wraps it up. That's the first show for the month of August. Next week, fingers crossed, it will probably be the last edition we do of the socially distanced edition before we are back in a studio space. Hallelujah! So,
finally.
Any last words before we call it a night?
I'm going to keep calling out Ferrari. It's just going to happen. This has gotten ridiculous. How much money is it? 400-something million? Oh, my gosh.
I got nothing else to say, but Hawks win. Alexa plays Chelsea Dagger. And, yeah, I'm really happy about that. And yeah, going to be an interesting week of racing. Probably going to be a very predictable one as well.
Thanks for kicking out the Oilers.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you got some hockey fans in there. I will say that basically we've got one more week, or actually 2 weeks really, before we get back on campus, and fingers crossed everyone stays safe, stays healthy. Wear a mask, please, for your fellow essential workers out there. We don't make the decisions, companies do. So there was something else I was going to bring up, but it completely skipped my mind just now. I don't know. There was something else I was going to bring up. But anyway, that's going to do it for our show. For my fellow co-hosts, Justin Palmer and Hallie said, oh, I know what it was. The Royals actually won a game. How about that? My Royals. They beat your White Sox, Justin, so take that.
White Sox? White Sox? Hold on a second here.
I am so sorry.
I know you guys are delusional because you beat us 13-3 after you getting your butts kicked like 3 games in a row. But I didn't know you would be that delusional to forget the team that you just beat 13-2.
It's the Cubs. I meant the Cubs. Justin Palmer. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Please be kind to one another, both in person and online. Please have the brain capacity. Give yourself some sleep, too, because clearly some people need it. Not naming myself. So, with that out of the way, On behalf of everyone here, I'm Sterling Siemens, signing off.